Look, anytime we step foot, and I've said this over the past couple of weeks, as a player, as a coach, we always want to go out there and win.
Nope.
The New England Patriots are about to embark on a transformative offseason. 2024 didn't exactly go as planned, which means there's plenty to address down at One Patriot Place. NESN gave me a shot to outline exactly how much needs to be done, especially in an offseason where more than half the roster could be overturned. We decided the best approach would be giving a step-by-step look into the minutia of it all. New England's offseason already has included significant organizational changes, and will soon see major trades, free agency moves, and one extremely important draft take place. We want to delve into all of that, giving specific examples to build out a better roster for the future. Welcome to the Patriots Manifesto. Step 1. Tweaking the coaching staff. New England made our job pretty easy, turning over a large part of the organization relatively quickly, but Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels, and Terrell Williams aren't the only fresh faces you can expect to see. The Patriots recently announced their full coaching staff, which includes a wealth of names you already knew. Thomas Brown, Doug Marrone, Ben McAdoo, and Todd Downing have all been around the block a time or two, with the former three already having head coaching experience in the NFL. Vrabel also brought aboard 15 other coaches, while retaining 4 more, choosing to build a staff with a focus on experience, familiarity, and upside. Look at that list. It's definitely much better than the group we saw last season. We didn't start this thing to have people do the work for us, though, so we decided to add one extra name to the pot. Chris Richard was a successful defensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks from 2015 to 2017, but found himself in lesser roles over the last few years with the Jacksonville Jaguars, New Orleans Saints, and Dallas Cowboys. The Patriots should look to bring him aboard in a passing game coordinator role, which is essentially what they did with Brown on the other side of the football. New England's staff isn't missing much, but defensive play calling experience outside of Vrabel is lacking, so why not look to round out the staff by adding it? Otherwise, everyone give a round of applause to NEP. Step 2. It's time for some wheeling and dealing. The Patriots don't have the most talented roster on the planet, but they sure as hell aren't devoid of assets. New England could have entered this offseason with the ammunition necessary to make huge changes, but the inside track to the number 1 pick was lost in the final game of the season, pushing them down to number 4 in the order. Vrabel, Elliott Wolf, and Ryan Cowden can still use the ammunition they currently have to make major roster changes, however. It's probably just going to take some creativity, which is what we look to have while exploring ways to upgrade the roster. The Patriots kick things off by trading the 219th pick, yes, the 219th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft to the Philadelphia Eagles for Bryce Huff. Huff was one of the more highly coveted free agents in last offseason cycle, and parlayed public interest into a 3-year, $51 million contract from Philadelphia. It's understandable why he earned that deal, as many expected him to slide directly into the pass rushing role that opened up when Hassan Reddick was traded to the New York Jets. Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt had different plans though, taking those snaps themselves. Huff never quite found his form in a new shade of green, essentially being benched in Week 7 and never getting back to a consistent role. The Eagles could look to cut ties early, getting off the majority of that remaining money this offseason by shipping him elsewhere. The Patriots should be among the teams calling, as their exterior rush group was amongst the worst in football last season. Huff could come in and immediately improve the talent in that room while allowing guys like Keon White and Anthony Jennings to play in positions better suited for their strengths. Trading for a dude who was inactive for the Super Bowl? It's not as crazy as it sounds. Jack Conklin is our next target, and we think it'll only take the 144th pick in April to obtain his services from the Cleveland Browns. Conklin makes almost too much sense for an exercise like this, having originally been drafted by the Tennessee Titans, where he overlapped for one season with Vrabel and several other members of the current staff. Conklin then cashed in with the Browns, but a bad string of injuries and their horrific financial situation have him looking like a potential cap casualty. The Patriots would have to take on a decent chunk of change, but his $20 million salary isn't a bad investment over the next few seasons given their current situation along the offensive line. And with our next move, New England would essentially ensure an upgrade at both tackle spots while saving money to land free agency's biggest fish. It's a value trade. Fun. The Patriots are trading back into the first round with our next move, acquiring the 26th pick from the Los Angeles Rams for the 38th pick in a 2026 third. Why? New England isn't going to fix this roster by doing the conventional, so we're going to go bold and trade back into the first round to address multiple needs in one night. Those moves won't be revealed just yet, but it's safe to say the Patriots would be able to add 2 players at premium positions while locking in what many believe to be the best player in the draft. Win, win, win. Kendrick Bourne has the unfortunate distinction of being the only player we trade away, with the Baltimore Ravens being our landing spot in exchange for the 127th and 176th picks in this season's draft. Bourne is the closest thing to an adult currently walking around the receiver room at One Patriot Place, but given our plans, it makes sense to move on before it's too late. The Patriots know he'll work in their new system, but it's hard to argue the high-energy wideout didn't lose a step last season. The Ravens are a perfect landing spot for him, needing to fill out their receiving core with Nelson Aguilar, Tylan Wallace, and Deontay Hardy all scheduled to hit free agency. Bourne would be a tremendous fourth or fifth option for Lamar Jackson. Step 3. Let's spend a billionaire's money. Trades are fun and all, but we know why you're here. The Patriots will still be left with a decent chunk of change to spend in free agency, and it's important to discuss both internal and external options. Let's just get straight into it. New England will have to make decisions on 20 of its own players currently set to hit the market, all of whom are either unrestricted, restricted, or exclusive rights free agents. It's pretty obvious who will be prioritized, so let's discuss the guys who will be retained and set a few free. The Patriots should be buying plane tickets for all the guys currently on your screen, so let's just breeze past them and focus on the important ones. Jacoby Brissett likely won't have interest in returning to his current role, so you can kiss that guy goodbye. Austin Hooper, Dietrich Wise, Daniel Ekuale, O'Shane Jimenez, Jalen Hawkins, Joey Sly, and Jonathan Jones are interesting cases though. Hooper would continue to be a great secondary option at tight end, so the hope is he won't find a more substantial role elsewhere. New England needs to start looking at ways to get younger at the position, yes, but re-signing a guy who has played for both Vrabel and McDaniels in the past would be the best way of doing so, allowing yourself a chance to develop someone who won't cost a premium pick. Hooper also probably wouldn't mind doubling his salary like we're about to do here. Sly had a perfectly mediocre season, but you probably want to find a way to upgrade that kicker spot. The Patriots will bring him back alongside John Parker Romo to compete in training camp. Wise had a rough year in his elevated role, and it's probably time for him to find a new home. Jones's return would be entirely tied to his market, but we don't think it'll take much to bring him back. Sion Takitaki and Jake Andrews are not currently scheduled to be free agents, but we're going to send them to the unemployment line anyway. Takitaki only has 1 year left on his deal, but releasing him would save a few $1 million toward the cap. Andrews hasn't been able to find the field in 2 seasons, and his release will open up a few more bucks as we prepare to make some splashes in free agency. Speaking of splashes, it's time to have fun with this thing, as we finally reach the point where we can start signing outside free agents, including the man you've all been waiting to see. T. Higgins needed to be on this list, because... Wait, what? The Bengals are probably going to tag him? The Buccaneers are expected to do the same thing with Chris Godwin? Our entire approach needs to change because the reports came out like 3 days later than we hoped? Great. Cincinnati's reported decision threw a wrench in our plans, yes, but it also allows us to tweak things slightly from our written version. Ronnie Stanley and Stephon Diggs will collectively fill the gap left by Higgins and Patrick McCarry, allowing us to beef up the most important position on the current roster and inject some serious talent into the receiver room. Stanley is an obvious choice. Diggs, not so much. It's difficult to commit to a soon-to-be 32-year-old basket case wide receiver, but he's still damn good, and tossing him a ton of money on a prove-it deal might just be the best way to actually upgrade this receiving core. There's no better option, folks, so learn to love it as a possibility. Levi Onwuzurike is a budding superstar who just happens to be a protege of New England's new defensive coordinator. The Detroit Lions would love to keep him, but essentially made that decision last offseason by extending Aleem McNeil instead. The Patriots would be happy to swoop in and steal him. Paulson Adebo is another value signing that could end up becoming a big piece moving forward. The Patriots surely would love to add another long, physical cornerback to the room, and they might be able to do so on a prove-it deal because of last year's season-ending injury. Jimmy Garoppolo is just a hilarious guy to bring in. May could use a veteran voice, and we chose the funniest option. It also helps that he has a wealth of experience working with Josh McDaniels. Darius Slayton might feel expensive when you look at that projected number, but he did nothing but post throughout the last 6 seasons with the New York Giants. New England would have to find itself a real number 2 option to go along with the big guy we signed earlier, and there are a few better options in this class. Malcolm Koonce was incredibly underrated during his tenure with the Las Vegas Raiders, enjoying a breakout season in 2023 before missing the entirety of 2024. Koonce likely will want to find a place where he'll have opportunities to get after the quarterback so he can recoup some of that value, and that place very well could be Gillette Stadium. Elandon Roberts has only gotten better since departing New England in 2019, which could put him in line for a return. The Patriots need depth at off-ball linebacker, and adding somebody like this could help push Jelani Tavai, Kyle Duggar, and Marte Mapu to spots more suited for their capabilities. Step 4. Mock Draft Season. The Patriots' primary goal during free agency should be to address each of their biggest needs, which then opens up the ability to draft the most talented players available and not focus on specific positions. We followed that ideology, but you know we have a few tricks up our sleeves when it comes to the draft itself. Abdul Carter is going to be our pick at number 4. He's as close to a slam dunk pick as anybody possibly could be, with the Tennessee Titans, Cleveland Browns, and New York Giants essentially deciding for us. Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, and Shedeur Sanders were the top 3 picks, according to PFF's mock draft simulator, landing us a bona fide stud at 4. New England needs a legitimate difference maker at that spot, and this one's a no-brainer. Gray Zabel's our second first-round choice, serving as the best tackle available for when we traded back into the round a few entries ago. He had perhaps the best showing of any prospect at the Senior Bowl, using the opportunity to showcase that he's fully capable of holding his own as a tackle, despite less than ideal arm length and level of competition. He did it in college, so why can't he do it in the NFL? The Patriots added 2 viable options at tackle earlier in this exercise, so we get to take a bit of a gamble with this selection. Darius Alexander's the choice at 69. We had a joke written for that one, but we'll just leave it alone. Toledo's greatest export since the perfume atomizer, Alexander was another standout for the Senior Bowl. The Patriots need tons of help in the trenches, and Alexander joins the likes of Carter, Huff, and Onwuzurike to help rebuild things alongside the likes of Christian Barmore and Devon Godshaw. I'd love that group more than I could love a human being. Harold Fannin Jr. is the pick at 77. He's not only one of the most prolific tight ends in the history of college football, look it up, but also has the physical makeup of your prototypical move option in the Josh McDaniels offense. Fannin's arrival would eventually allow for those 2 tight end sets to become a little more dynamic, and he one day could take over for Hunter Henry as the top target in that room. Jalen Noel checks in at 105, and though his college teammate Jaden Higgins will grab the headlines for his blend of size and athleticism, there isn't a better route runner in this class. New England should strongly consider taking as many swings as possible at the position, and Noel would be as good as any. Brashard Smith and Taj Brooks will be our next 2 selections, as we add significant running back depth at 127 and 176. The Patriots need to add in the backfield, so we use back-to-back selections to address that need with 2 very different players. Smith fits the old passing down role that has been lost in recent seasons in New England. Originally starting his college career as a receiver and still running routes like one, he's a perfect fit. Brooks is an early down guy who can do some damage between the tackles and spell someone like Ramondre Stevenson late in games should it be required, before eventually taking on more carries as the season progresses. We went with a pair of offensive linemen to round things out, as Drew Kendall and Carson Vincent are decent late-round swings for a team in desperate need of an offensive line overhaul. Kendall played for Doug Marrone at Boston College, so it only felt right that we connected one of his former players to New England. Vincent showed out at the Senior Bowl, which is essentially a prerequisite for us on day 3 picks. Step 5. Just win, baby. The Patriots aren't going to fix it all in one offseason, but taking similar steps to the ones that we laid out could accelerate what should be a 2 to 3 year rebuild. New England ultimately needs to add talent, which is why we primarily focused on younger players who are looking to continue building value moving forward. The Patriots can offer 2 things to all of them: opportunity and cash, which is a pretty decent place to start. It's easy to argue that building a culture starts with proven veterans, but while that might be true, there's also a great deal to be said about injecting this team with youth and energy. Vrabel has proven himself to be a culture specialist, so let the man earn his paycheck by inking talented players across premium positions. Wolf and Cowden will work in lockstep to align the front office's vision with that of the big guy in charge. But there's little doubt that ownership will be pushing to land some big names that can immediately raise this club's floor. This Patriots Manifesto, patent pending, was designed to do exactly that, while showcasing just one of many paths the organization can take on its journey back towards relevance, with a few specific examples sprinkled in along the way. Do we expect things to play out exactly like this? No. But this is our best attempt at doing what the folks down at One Patriot Place will be tasked with over the coming months. Let's see if they can do any better.